I think when I first became mom, I realized very fast that if you want to be the perfect mom that every mom wants to be, right? Like, so like the baby should be pampered in the most ideal way and everything should be fine. But you can only do that if you take care of yourself first. Because I did that in the first 4 weeks or 2 months of my child being born, I was doing everything for him. And then I was exhausted. I didn't sleep anymore because I was always awake when he's awake. And when he was sleeping, I was just looking at him. And the same with the job. You are always wanting to give your best, so to reach the results, and that your coworkers have the input that they need and that everything runs. And you always give and give and give. And then where are you in the end? So I just realized that I cannot be satisfying in my job and I cannot be satisfying in my motherhood if I do not take care of myself first, because then I am completely depleted and the others are happy. But on the long run, they will also not be happy because then they have a overwhelmed, burned out a co-worker, or my son would have had a completely burned out mom.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mutita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the #1 commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. Our guest today is Isabelle von Boetticher Fouchard, the author of Sleep Well and the founder of Cayae. Isabelle today, she will share with us her heartfelt journey of change and well-being and also energy management that we need today. So without further ado, please welcome Isabelle to Get Unstuck Podcast today. Hi, Isabelle.
Hello, Mutita. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm very excited because we have prepared offline about many things that we would love to discuss and also share with you guys today. So let's get into it. Isabelle, how did you start your entrepreneurial journey though?
Well, I started my entrepreneur journey out of discomfort. I was really not comfortable in my corporate career, and I had changed by then already a couple of times the corporate world from one company to another, from consultancy to also working for NGOs. But in the end, I really still always felt this need to be more in power of designing the days in my life, and also wanting to do something that is closer to my heart. So I, at 52, became a full-time entrepreneur in holistic health and life coaching.
And why did you decide to get into entrepreneurial journey at the age of 50s, like in this 50s time?
Yeah, I think I was by then already having done quite a journey of myself, of like going through different highs and lows in my career in the corporate world, had showed me like what really matters is what you are thinking about yourself and like living a happy and healthy life. And at one point that became more of a purpose for me. And so in my corporate career, I was still working in leadership development a lot, but then I was diving deeper into personal development aspects of the holistic world, and saw like this is something I want to offer my clients. And that was just not possible in the corporate world. At that time, they were not open to working with different tools. So for me, going into entrepreneurship was like, so now I do offer my services the way I think it's helpful for others to transition exactly your career and being able to live also a happy private and personal life while doing that. That was probably the most important part for me.
What do you think that it would be the first discomfort feeling when you think that this job or maybe this career is not the right thing for you already?
Well, for me, it was that I constantly was depleted, exhausted. I didn't have enough energy to really enjoy my life fully. So I already practiced yoga and all of these and did meditations, but still I would like try to give my best in my job, give my best at home, home. I had a son. I still have a son. And just feeling always waking up in the morning and still being exhausted was something that I thought, this is not normal. This cannot be how my life is supposed to be. If I'm happy in my job and happy with my private life, I should not feel like that.
And what did you do at the first thing when you feel like that?
Well, seeing it now, I did probably what was most important for me is reaching out for help. But back then in the situation, I didn't see that. I was just really, I hit rock bottom. I was excuse me, I was not realizing the situation I was in. And I was just trying to cope with everything that was coming up. So coping with a job that is not unsatisfying without understanding that it is not really satisfying me, plus trying to be there for your child and your partners and just coming to your limits. So obviously I also started to have physical ailments, and at one point I just couldn't go any further. So I really had a breakdown. And that's when also I realized that I had a career that would not move on. I was like not promoted anymore, even though I overachieved my targets every year, and call it, glass ceiling, or my bosses and the environment were just not appreciating me and everything I had to bring to the table. So I was just like feeling this is unhealthy. It's kind of a toxic relationship in a business sense, right? In a business environment. And I had luckily an external business partner who told me, Isabelle, if you stay in that company, you're wasting not just your career, but also your life. And that was kind of a wake-up call for me. I was like, oh my God, he's right. He's right. I'm not happy in my career, and this is now affecting my personal life as well. So this moment of realizing this and accepting help or reaching out for people who help you reflect what's happening and help you move on. So he became, actually without knowing, my first mentor and guided me through this way of leaving this corporate business I was in for 15 years by then, without ever having changed the company. I mean, I had done different positions, leading positions in different parts of the world and different departments of that company. But it is something else to throw yourself out there on the job market after 15 years of not having done that before. And he guided me through it because he had done it. So obviously it's good to have somebody who has done a journey like that before.
Yeah, when you mentioned that you're not only losing like the confidence in what you are working currently, but you are also about to losing yourself by not changing the current situation. I can relate to that. And I think many people also can relate to that feeling. But I also believe that when you mention toxic relationship, many people also decided to stay that way.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they're addicted to something, some feeling of like not able to let it go, or like don't know how the other side looks like just yet. And I think change at that point would be really challenging way to make decision, right? How long does it take for you for the first step of making that career change?
I mean, like, how long did I live with the discomfort?
Yeah, but like, how long did you get a new job after the first one?
Oh, I found a job. Like, as soon as it was clear in my head, like, this is something I have to change. I cannot stay in that situation, instead of just like trying to, quieten these voices inside of you. And you just say like, oh, no, it's finally okay. And I can live with that, and like arranging the situation. So like, that's not helpful, obviously. So until you come to that moment when you finally know you have to do something about it, and then doing that and going that step, that was probably something of half a year that I took to figure out, how am I going to do this now? So I know that I want to leave the company, but how? Because I was still lacking lots of self-confidence about like, I'm a single mom, I have a son, and I was working at that time part-time. So I'm like, if I change, nobody is going to hire a woman that wants to work part-time and has a child. And, so I was always having everything that won't work, instead of saying, no, design your ideal job that you want to have in your head. And then once you have that, believe that it's existing, and then go and look for it, instead of thinking everything that is not working. And obviously having a mentor to coach you, to mentor you through the process of just like looking for alternatives instead of saying everything that is not working. And obviously before I left my company, I had found the new job. So I was not just quitting and not knowing what to do, even though, to be honest, I know people who have done that too. It's more about the mindset. Do you have the right mindset and feel secure in yourself and confident? Then that's your way. Do it. For me at that time, I was not secure enough, and I didn't feel like I can just quit without knowing what comes next. So I took these 6 months to prepare my next step, look what job I want to have, and looked into the newspapers. Back then there was not really like lots online. So, and I found a job that was at that time the right thing to do. And I jumped, I got the job, and that's when I quit. Yeah. But 6 months was for me how long it took from the moment to have it clear in your head to the moment that you take the step and do it.
And then what next? After you get a new job, what's
exactly
happening?
What next? Because that's when you think like, okay, now everything is fine. And obviously no, because then you have to adapt to the new situation, like integrating a new company culture. And I was now doing that move from corporate business to consultancy. It's a whole different world. Consultants worked like according to these payable hours, and it was a whole different stress on me, even though it was great to have the recognition, hey, somebody wants me and this is what I want to do. I still had to manage now my changed business hours with my private life. So it's a constant actually adaptation to change. And I realized, but also afterwards, because I changed jobs a couple of times more, that it's actually about adapting to constant change. It's not if you have done it once, that's it for the rest of your life, at least not for me. It was just like understanding that jumping was important for me. It helped me gain self-confidence and also opens up so much more opportunities, right? And that as such was such a beneficial experience that after 2 years in that new job, I felt like, is there something more for me? Because if this worked once, like, it can work another time too. And that's when I moved and stepped into the world again of corporate, but in a leading top rank position. And then again, 2 years after, I changed again, now going into the NGO world, which is completely different. And that's when I moved even continents. So like changing career plus changing the place. I think I became more and more confident about the amount of change I can deal with. And it's beautiful because it made me so alive. I all of a sudden feel like I have the power in my hand if I am the one in the driver's seat who's deciding the change, and it not change happening to me, but I am deciding for it.
It's so nice that you have the clarity of what you exactly want and you go for it, isn't it?
Excuse me, what you mean?
Like when you say that you have a clarity of like, this is what you are looking for and you just move forward to it. That's what you keep mentioning. That's what I see, the pattern that you just like saying. But I see many people don't able, like they haven't able to find that clarity just yet. They maybe keep changing, but like they don't feel fulfilled or not satisfied just yet. What do you think? What is the problem?
Yes, and I don't want to come across as like the superwoman who knew all of this back then. This is like now with hindsight that I see like this was my way. But back then I was not so clear about everything I wanted. I just was uncomfortable in a situation and knew this is not helpful for me, so I have to change. And I think I understand that everybody has their own path of how to go through change. And I think it is important to value that, to value your uniqueness, and you are different. And there are some people who just know very clearly in their heads what they want from the beginning. And I was not. I was just knowing that this is not what I want anymore. This was my way of going like through, this is not what I want. And in parallel, I was always going deeper on my personal development. So I was investing in coaches and mentors and programs that would help me to understand more what it is that I want and what it is that I am, because I was done with trying to transform myself to a position, a job description. I wanted it the other way around. I wanted to see something that I can thrive in. So like, what is it that I am, that I need as a working environment that is good for me? So and again, this is something that I understood by just going the path of going towards where I feel appreciated, where I feel that my energies are up, where I feel that I'm not exhausted anymore. That's the right way for me to go.
As you mentioned, as a mother yourself, like you have a lot on your plate. How you manage everything that you just mentioned, okay, career change, country change, and then you have to manage that, okay, this is feeling discomfort in yourself and the responsibility that you have as well, that you have to like keep up with everything. How do you manage everything at the same time?
Well, I think also that is a journey, right? It's like, I think when I first became mom, I realized very fast that if you want to be the perfect mom that every mom wants to be, right? Like, so like the baby should be pampered in the most ideal way and everything should be fine. But you can only do that if you take care of yourself first. Because I did that in the first 4 weeks or 2 months of my child being born, that I was doing everything for him. And then I was exhausted. I didn't sleep anymore because I was always awake when he's awake. And when he was sleeping, I was just looking at him. And the same with the job. You are always wanting to give your best, so to reach the results, and that your coworkers have the input that they need, and that everything runs. And you always give and give and give. And then where are you in the end? So I just realized that I cannot be satisfying in my job and I cannot be satisfying in my motherhood if I do not take care of myself first, because then I am completely depleted and the others are happy. But on the long run, they will also not be happy, because then they have a overwhelmed, burned out a co-worker, or my son would have had a completely burned out mom. So it's like this taking care of oneself first that probably saved my life in general. And I learned that through motherhood and also through my jobs, when I finally realized that I'm best when I first take care of myself. And that means really like taking care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, having just an aligned self and setting boundaries. So setting healthy boundaries is for me something very important to make the others I interact with happy. So my son can only be becoming a wonderful person if I every now and then let him know, okay, I'm here for you, but this is also where I need to be for me. And that's the same with co-workers or partners, loving life partners, that to understand that there is me time that I need. And obviously everybody has a different need of me time. So what you do in your me time or how much you need it, but everybody needs that. And it's about communicating it and letting people know, I'm here for you, but there are times when I need to take care of myself, and then I'm again there for you.
I really like the ideas that you mentioned when we spoke about you like everyone who work with you feeling like they are home. It's not only the safe space, but they are home. So what is exactly Cayae means?
Yeah, Cayae is my business name, my business brand. And it's a word that comes from Haitian Creole, where Cayae is the word that means house, but also home. And I wanted to have that as a brand, because when I coach my clients and work with them and do the energetic healing, it's about giving them a space where they feel home and giving them a space where they can, as a child, when you feel at home, thrive. So it's like, first of course, a place that is completely safe. So everything that is exchanged with me, I see it like I'm a medical doctor, so I don't share anything with anybody else. So it has to be a place where you really can open up. And it's a place where you feel nourished, like at home, right? So like you get what you need. And beyond that, obviously, I see what people need, even beyond what they see. And it's about offering them a space to thrive and to get back to who they are, to their essence.
What about the current program that you offer for mompreneur? How you can bring them home currently?
Yeah, right now I offer this 3-month program. It's called Rebirthed and Empowered. And it is, yes, for mompreneurs who juggle all these aspects in their lives, right? Maybe they want to have a career change and they have their children who have left home and now they have more time, but they don't know what to do with it. And then they are overwhelmed because maybe they have to take care of elderly parents and they have this exhaustion theme again in their life, where they just don't find the time for themselves and to know what is it that I really want to do now. So with Rebirthed and Empowered, I help them actually to be aligned again, aligned in their body. And I like to say in their bodies. I mentioned it. So it's like the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the energetic body. It's bringing women back to their inner wisdom, their inner power, because that's when you stay in your full powers and you stand in your full, I like to call it queen. A queen is a woman that is accomplished, that knows her strength and her weaknesses and uses this to be again tapping into your energy source that is inside of you. There's no need to change it and to look for it outside. You have everything inside of you. It's more like with my program, I help women reveal that power inside of them. And then from there on, being able to self-confidently and energized taking decisions for what comes next, be it a career change or be it doing something else or live your relationships differently.
What do you think is the most issue that your client face that you encountered?
Yeah, I mentioned that word a lot, exhaustion. So feeling depleted or without energy, maybe also like that what comes with it, not sleeping enough or not feeling ever having a restful sleep. And this purposefulness is gone. So they are looking for meaning in their lives. Something has gone that they used to have before, and they are looking for it. And yeah, so that's the most important part. Is probably the exhaustion, the not being standing in your full energy, not being confident enough to know what it is that you want.
Oh, if they have reached that stage, I could imagine that they may like become almost numb and like stillness somehow and like unknowing what next for them.
Yes, it is like very often I speak to people that, like me back then, they are not really conscious about what's going on. They are just, if I ask them, they are feeling exhausted, physically exhausted or mentally exhausted. They just are probably overwhelmed with everything that's going on in their lives. And sometimes having time doesn't mean that you take the time for yourself. So it is really about allowing people to root themselves and reboot. That's why I call this program Rebirthed and Empowered. I empower people to, first of all, have the space to rebirth what's inside of them, and then empower them with different energetic tools and methods that allow them to heal and manage their health afterwards, also themselves, their well-being, so they don't need to depend on some outside help anymore, so that they can do it on their own.
So could you just like walk me through how it's like working with you?
Yes, I'd love to do that. So yeah, working with me is you feel like you first of all come to a space where you can let go, and I invite you to really be open about trying different things. I usually first do a diagnosis, and I call it holistic because I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an energy healer and I'm a coach, and with all the experience from my corporate life in leadership development and personal development, I use all of that to analyze where your energy system is at. And we would go together about like clarifying, what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to work on? So usually you will crystallize a goal, an objective that you want to achieve. And that could be in your private life, and that could be in your business life, and it could be incorporating all. And then we would go about using different steps, whatever is more applying to you. And I use the 6 pillars of well-being that address all of your body. It's a holistic approach. So we will talk about health, physical health, mental health, your relationships with others. So obviously your emotional health as well. So what's happening inside of you with your feelings, and then your energy body. Yeah, that's a very, very important part. So we will address all of that and see in each domain what needs to be done. And it's usually a work that is not just done through talking through things, but you will experience and live new methods for yourself. And we would go through that. It's a 10 to 12 week process where we'll have regular calls and checking in and trying things, and what works will be afterwards really integrated in healthy rituals that you will install in your life. And again, that might look differently for everybody. Some people need a certain morning rituals, others need a certain evening rituals, others need both. And what you do in your ritual to keep your well-being up, and afterwards, once you have achieved your goal, to be that person that manages their own life and thriving, that can look very differently. Some people need to have some physical movement in the mornings. Others want us to have a meditation or a gentle yoga stretch. And it's about like maybe doing a meditation or not, working with affirmations, visualizations, and also like what is the first thing that you eat or drink. All of this will be adapted to your specific needs. And that's how we work together. And in the end, you will be the rebirthed, empowered yourself.
In case anyone want to work with you, where can they find you or reach out to you then?
You can find me on my webpage, which is www.cayae.net. And Cayae, you write as Cayae. I'm also on Instagram and at Isa Cayae. You can find me also on LinkedIn under my full name. And I'm happy to, when you reach out to me also via email, which is isabelle@cayae.net. I'm happy to hear about you, connect with you, and see what's your next step together with you.
So anyone who's still listening now, if you're interested to be rebirthed and empowered, so reach out to Isabelle and let us know if you have watched this episode and if you have learned something about the change and also the energy management, and how do you feel, how do you relate it about this heartfelt journey. So please share with us in the comment, and also let Isabelle know that you get to hear from us from this Get Unstuck podcast. So thank you, Isabelle, for joining us today.
Thank you, Matita. It was such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Have an amazing day ahead, everyone. I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The result of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.